Here's two ads, two attorney ads. One of these received 1,200 calls in 1 year, and the other received 66. Show of hands, how many think the ad on the left received the most calls? Everybody on the left-hand side of the room. How many think the ad on the right received the most calls? Yeah, we're evenly split. You'd think in our industry that 1,200 versus 66 would have unanimity of thought. You'd hope for that. The correct answer is the ad on the left got the most calls. It got 1,200 calls. The ad on the right is what I describe, it's a magazine-style ad. The rules for building great ads in Yellow Pages are very different than the rules for all other advertising media. In fact, the people least likely to be able to design a good ad are people in agencies and people who have a lot of experience designing ads for magazines and stuff, because clean and elegant, good-looking are what work in the other media. In Yellow Pages, it's a complete waste of money. In Yellow Pages, it's personal, it's informative. It's helping me to expect a positive result from working with you. Those are the things that bring in the calls. Two Australian ads. One received 1,400 calls, the other received 123, 12-to-1 difference. They competed right against each other in the book. Which got the most calls? How many think it's the one on the left? Yeah, stronger here. How many think it's the one on the right? The ad on the left is the one that got the most calls here. And it's because when people go looking for exercise, the ad on the right is your traditional Yellow Page ad. The one on the left is speaking to what the user really wants. They don't want to buy exercise equipment. They want to look good and feel great. It helps the user to visualize being a satisfied customer there. It gives them lots of information, has multiple locations. There's a whole litany of things there. Again, we won't have time to go through all these, but just to give you a teaser. One of these receives 1,500 calls. The other received 16,152. They were on the same page. Which got the most calls? How many think it's A? How many think it's B? How many are sitting on the fence, not committing themselves? The correct answer is A. This is the one that woke me up. Somebody showed me these two and says, do you realize what a dramatic difference there is? And there are 4 or 5 reasons why. People come to the Yellow Pages looking for information. A has more information, has more detail. It has a better presentation of information, a hierarchical structure, big headers. It's easy to scan and see the key selling points. Then you get into the detail. B is a lot more homogeneous. Everything's the same. You don't know what's important and what isn't. A makes the key selling points pop. They have 2 different locations. The whole number of things, again, that come together. But there's a very strong pattern of what works and what doesn't work in Yellow Pages. Understanding this is what allows us to bring more value to businesses of what really makes the Yellow Pages sing for a business. The patterns we're seeing through all the metered ad studies. Here's a couple more. 1A, 1B. One of these received 4 times more calls than the other one. Which got the most calls, A or B? How many think it's A? A few brave souls. How many think it's B? Most of you. Almost everybody in the Yellow Pages gets this one wrong. A is the correct answer. When you look at B, what do you think? What feeling does that give you? Has anybody ever been arrested? They're not going to admit to it. I have a friend, her dog strayed out of her property, and she got a warning from it, and she had a fine because of it. She lived in the mountains, you'd think there was mountain lions and everything, but her dog got off, and she had an irate neighbor. And then they had a fire, and everybody had to be evacuated, and she lost all of her paperwork. Well, she got picked up, stopped one day because her traffic light was out, and next thing she knew, she was thrown against the car being handcuffed because she hadn't responded to the summons about her dog. And she says, it's singularly the most painful, humiliating experience of her life. Now, do you think somebody wants to be reminded of that experience? No. There are an awful lot of ads in the Yellow Pages where the advertiser, where we think, we'll show you we understand your problem. The customer doesn't want you to understand their problem. They're coming because they want a solution to their problem. Ads that focus on the positive, on what we're going to do for you, and help the customer to visualize that will always get more calls than ads that remind the customer of the problem. Because the problem's painful. That's what they're trying to get away from. And so A got a lot more calls than B did. What do you think about this ad? Is this a good ad or a bad ad? How many think it's good? Nobody? How many think it's bad? I see a lot of non-committal. I'll give you my reaction. When I first saw this ad, my reaction was, what an ugly ad. Then they showed me the call counts. And I said, what a beautiful ad. This ad is the #1 bankruptcy ad in North America. They had it in 2 places, in attorneys and in attorneys-bankruptcy. In one case, it got 2,800 calls. In the other, it got 2,600 calls. Phenomenal result. Why? Because it doesn't talk about what they do. It talks about what they're going to do for you. Somebody who's in bankruptcy, they're about to lose everything. Stop lawsuits, keep your home. It gives somebody hope. You know, the world's pretty bleak. It's all about, we're here to do business for you. Free consultations, affordable, easy payments. You don't even say who they are until 2/3 of the way down. The name's not that important. But it's all about the customer. In Australia, they had a newspaper reporter interview me, and they said, what's the single biggest insight you give to businesses about building good ads versus bad ones? And the single biggest insight is most ads talk about what the business does. Consumers don't care what the business does. The great ads talk about what the business is going to do for me, the consumer. And it's that shifting of perspective from the business detail to the customer and portraying the business from the customer's perspective and what the customer is going to receive from that business. Those are what the great ads do. Good ad or bad ad? How many of you think this is a good or even great ad? 1, 2, maybe 3. How many think it's a terrible ad? And a lot of non-committal people. Again, you're getting gun shy. This ad was the #1 plumbing contractor ad in North America for 3 years in a row. The typical double truck would bring in maybe 900 calls a year. This ad received 1,100 calls a month. It was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, medium-sized city. There's a whole bunch of reasons, which I won't belabor here, but there's a lot of information. Consumers come looking for information. It's well organized. You don't have to read the whole thing. 24-hour emergency service stands out. They've been in the city a long time, 2 hours decading around there. You'll notice the word serving 2 or 3 times. There are certain words in ads that are almost guaranteed to draw a higher response. One of those words is serving. Remember, people use the LP, those who are egotistical, self-centered, narcissistic, they use the Yellow Pages 66% more than the others. The more you speak to the consumer's ego, the more you give the feeling that you're there to serve the customer, the more response the customer gets. So bottom line is, again, content is a whole other discussion, but the point I want to make is what we sell is the ability for businesses to communicate their business to their customers. What sets us apart from Google and all the other places that they can put their message in, the more knowledgeable we are about what makes our own product work, about what drives a great response, the more value we have to the advertiser.